Welcome to 5, ladies and gentlemen. The map that got reimagined in Black Ops 4 in spite of the fact that I don't think a single person asked for it to be reimagined. We'll be looking at world record runs on 5, seeing how some of the greatest zombie players ever are able to achieve some of the highest rounds possible on what is arguably one of the harder zombies maps we've ever seen, especially in Black Ops. And spoiler alert, as far as ways to kill the zombies go, you're incredibly limited. I do want to give a shout out to NAXIZZ for helping me research this video and giving me a lot of insight, and I also want to give a shout out to Time to Sleep, who was the previous 5 world record holder, for helping me research this video and look over my script. Both of you were a lot of help in the making of this video. One thing I should note is that we'll only be looking at 5 in this video. We'll be saving Classified for its own video, since while Classified and 5 are mostly the same in terms of layout, those two maps do play out a whole lot differently because of the various features and extra rooms that are in Classified. So in this video, we'll just be looking at 5. This video, by the way, is sponsored by Frag Pro Shooter. Because there's a global pandemic right now, ad rates are at their lowest since 2013. So what does that mean? It means we're accepting money from mobile game sponsors.
Here comes the money.
Here we go.
Money talk. Here comes the money.
This video is sponsored by Frag Pro Shooter, and this is one of the first mobile game ads to not be about raid. So for that reason alone, Frag Pro Shooter is one of the best shooters of 2020. It's even better than Dead of the Night, believe it or not. We didn't think it was possible, but they found a way to do it. Frag is a PvP shooter designed with mobile in mind and has more than 30 million players. In this game, you can build a deck of 5 characters and take them into epic battles with the goal of destroying your enemy bunkers as fast as possible and then destroying their tower. In this game, you build a deck of 5 characters out of 80 in total, and you can take them into battle and switch between them mid-map. They also have a new co-op 2v2 PvP mode where you and a friend or a random teammate pick 3 characters from your deck of 5 and take them into battle. Frag is not just a game but a meeting point. There's clubs you can join, so just download Frag today. Join the Remastered Die Rise Club by using my link in the description, and you can get a bunch of free rewards. So click that link and download Frag today. And honestly, y'all know I don't take sponsors very often. This was a game that I downloaded, had some fun with, and decided to take on as a sponsorship. So you can support my channel by supporting Frag. It would mean a lot to me, and I appreciate y'all's support during these times when ad rates are abysmally low. But let's jump into some amazing world records on 5. So when I say you're limited in 5, this is because you are really limited to just the spawn room. It's the only place you can train and kill the zombies reliably into the high rounds. Things like Winter's Howl become duds really early on. And I believe that out of limitation actually comes innovation. So when you dig into people's approach to reach the high rounds at 5, at first it seems relatively simple. You just train in the spawn room, but there's really so much more going on. Because the only option to kill the zombies late in the game is to use the traps, and strategists have been fascinated with how best they can move about this top floor and use the traps to their development and create these hyper-optimized strategies in a way that you just don't see in other maps. People are really trying to master the movement of 5 because, well, there is no other option. You either get good at training in the spawn room or you're not going to reach very high rounds. No other room has quite been mastered like the 5 room in terms of movement and strategy. And when I say it's mastered, that doesn't mean people are done learning. To this day, almost 10 years later, people are still finding new tips and ways to move about this top floor. And for that reason, there's a lot more depth to the 5 high round runs than you might suspect. So what's going on here? On 5, you have a handful of ways to survive in the spawn room, and what it really boils down to is speed versus safety. The most basic route you can run in 5 is the safest, but it's also pretty slow. But there are modifications you can make to this strat that'll allow you to go through the rounds faster. They're just riskier. And you may be thinking, well, if I'm going to be playing for 50 to 60 to 70 hours, who cares if I'm going a little bit slower? I probably won't go down, so I would prefer safety over speed. And that mindset works for most games, but the problem is that you're playing for so long that you eventually reach the limits of zombies. The game will eventually reset because it counted too many entities throughout the duration of the entire game. And a game on 5 is estimated to reset in about 70 hours. This means you have 70 hours to get to as high a round as possible. And in a sense, it almost turns this less into a challenge of stamina and actually into a speed run. And maybe for that reason, it's worth doing a more risky strategy if it means you could squeeze in a couple more rounds along the way. So right now you have two very popular strats to use in the starting room. You have what's called the 2.5 strat and the 3.0 strat. And I'm not going to explain both of these strategies in great depth. What you can actually do is go to 5 and 5's channel. I'll have a link to these videos in the description where he walks through the various strategies, and you can see how you would go about moving in the 5 starting room to complete these strategies. The 2.5 strat is the safer of the two, but it's also the slower strategy. You're going to have an SPH of 24.8 seconds. SPH stands for seconds per horde. It's a metric invented by the high round community to describe how quickly you're killing the zombies. So your SPH is how quickly on average you can kill an entire horde of zombies, starting from the moment that you killed the previous horde. Now, if you want, you can go and calculate your SPH on zombicus.com. A link is in the description. The 2.5 strategy gets its name because you're able to, by implementing these optimizations, kill an extra half a horde with the quick revive trap. Now with the 3.0 strat, it's slightly riskier, but you're actually able to kill a whole extra horde with each trap pull. So you'll see there's a half a jump because you go from being able to kill half a horde to then being able to kill a whole horde. That's where the variance of the 2.5 versus 3.0 strat come from. You can check out those strats in the description. The current solo world record is 229 and it's held by YEZZY. YEZZY in his run used a combination of 2.5 and 3.0 during his world record run and was one of the first to really use both in a high round run. And when he was playing with an SPH of 22.6, which is really fast. He's flying through the rounds. YEZZY only used the 3.0 though up until about round 130 and switched to 2.5 because he already had 2 downs and it would be a bit risky. He figured because he's already this far into the game and he's making good time, he's going to switch to the safer 2.5 strat. The basic strategy works like this. He's going to start off on this side of the table. You always go on this larger end of the table right here, wait for a couple zombies to spawn in, and then you're going to run through this little pathway, duck into this little corner here, and kill the zombies using this trap. Now from there, you're going to go back to where you started. Imagine this section of the room almost like the starting spot right here. The strategy revolves around you running this basic circle. Now he's going to let the zombies spawn in and he's going to try to get a few more kills with this trap. Ideally, you want to get at least 2 horde kills with this trap. And sometimes what you'll see him do here is he's actually going to jump back in again through the other side and try to get a couple more kills. This is something some people try to do just to steal a couple extra kills with this trap while it's still running. He is now going to go back to that starting spot and he's going to do the same loop again while this trap is again running. But instead what he's going to do is now take this horde to the trap on the other side of the room. So while that trap is cooling down, he's killing the zombies with this trap here. It's going to take a second for it to reactivate, but by the time he loops around with that horde, they should be ready to be fried up by that trap. Goes back to what I'll call his starting spot again, and he's going to try to get one more horde through that loop. Ideally, you should be getting 2 to 2.5 hordes with every trap hole. That's if you're playing efficiently, and that's why this is called the 2.5 strat. If you're able to kill 3, then that would be a 3.0 strat. So he's going to take these few zombies, pull them back by speed cola, run through the trap, kill them there, and this is your basic strategy. Rinse and repeat. You're running the same exact loop, starting at this side of the table here, but just alternating the traps that you kill the zombies with. This is what YEZZY's doing for most of his game to reach the high rounds. Now, one of the things you'll probably notice in this game is that you don't see a single zombie spawning through some of the windows, most notably the window to the right of the Olympia. This is because he's doing what's called setting the windows. In the spawn, 4 of the 6 barriers will be activated at a given time, and it's random. But you can change which 4 randoms are activated by riding the elevator. In fact, fun fact, if you listen closely at the beginning of a game of 5, you can hear the big elevator running at the start of a match on 5. This is because the game is scrambling which windows are active. So what players will do is continuously ride the big elevator until the windows that they want active are active and the windows they don't want active are deactivated. This is a bit of a tedious process. It's you literally just rolling some dice until the proper windows are shut. That's pretty much how this works, but after a while, they'll have the windows set in the way they want properly. And if you don't set the windows, well then some of these advanced training strats just are not possible. For example, if you have zombies spawning out of the window by the Olympia, they're going to constantly cut you off and you're going to die. So if you look at this gameplay, you'll see some of the windows are boarded up because they're deactivated and zombies aren't spawning on those sides to tear down those windows. They did at one point in the game, but then after setting the windows, he got a carpenter and then those windows never got torn down again because zombies aren't spawning out of it. Setting the windows is an essential part of surviving into the high rounds on 5. Now this is what YEZZY did to train in the spawn room, but on insta-kill rounds he changed up his strat. He went and camped in the big elevator with the stakeout. It's quite an unorthodox camping method because it's quite difficult. You have to watch both the window behind you and the hallway in front of you, and this is one of the first successful world record runs to pull off this camping strategy with the stakeout in the elevator. People will often just camp with the MPL. Now you'll see he has to watch his front and his back, and what's particularly risky is that if things get out of hand, he doesn't have a way to escape. If he rides the elevator, well then he's going to need to reset the windows again because which windows are activated got randomly scrambled. So you do not want to reset the windows because, well, at this high of a round it's incredibly tedious. So that's YEZZY's insta-kill strategy, and it's quite a difficult and unorthodox one, but he was able to pull it off and is one of the first successful world record runs to do so. Now what's interesting about this game is that he ended up missing 7 insta-kill rounds, and this is because the Pentagon Thief can come on an insta-kill round. And this is really just RNG, but there's an idea that if you're going to get a Pentagon Thief round, you'd rather him come on a normal round because those rounds are incredibly long, rather than an insta-kill round since insta-kill rounds are shorter. And YEZZY got unlucky and had the Pentagon Thief fall on 7 insta-kill rounds. So had YEZZY had better RNG, he could have potentially gone further before his game reset at 299. But that is the current world record on 5, and because there is a little bit of RNG involved, I wouldn't find it impossible for somebody to beat this and maybe go to 230 plus. Now let's move on to co-op. So like I mentioned earlier, there are no other viable strats to reach the high rounds of this map. This means that you're going to have to do the same thing in co-op. Now what this does is actually make co-op strategies slightly more interesting because while it's the same strategy, you do have to stick to the spawn room. But now you need to worry about surviving in the spawn room with more people, and it all comes down to how best you can survive with 2 people in the room, 3 people in the room, or 4 people in the room. And this makes things less predictable, less controlled, and forces you to work as a team. I would argue surviving here really does depend on team coordination, and you can make the argument that if you're going for a co-op record on 5, it's the ultimate test of you and your team's coordination and ability to survive together. The best co-op world record right now is the 2-player co-op record set by EIT, Al Capone, and NAXIZZ MIMOUN, and they were able to reach round 134. And you can just tell by watching this gameplay that it does get absolutely hectic. They are fighting for their life in this room. There is not much space, and it's the same strategy. You just alternate between traps, but now you've got to worry about it with a second person in the room. When it's just you in the room, you can be a bit more controlled. You can weave and duck in and out. The zombies very rarely get in your way, but you'll see here they're often getting cut off by the zombies. They're often going down. You know, you can't do a co-op strategy in 5 and expect the game to be flawless. You find yourself in these tight rooms with zombies. It forces you to make quick decisions, tough decisions, really rapid decisions, and these guys were able to pull it off all the way to round 134. So well done to you guys. This was fantastic. If you want to try your hand at 3-player, well then the best right now is round 52 by Akagi, Blank, and NAXIZZ. And you'll see in this gameplay, they kind of almost move as one. Like I said, this area gets tough to train in when you throw multiple people in it. So They essentially move as one person, or I guess you could say as one snake. You usually have one or two people taking the lead, and what they'll do is board up these windows right here, and the other person will hang back a little, and then once the zombies start spawning in, they go run to one of these corners right here, and they'll do this and then go pull the trap. They essentially kind of have to stay coordinated. They're moving as one. They'll pull the trap, and then the other two are going to go and hit these windows in the back room right here. They'll fill them up. This is going to buy them just a couple seconds of time. I don't know if they necessarily need to, but it does buy them enough time so that when they do make their break for one of these back corners right here and funnel all the zombies through the doorway, then they don't have to worry about any, say, jumping out in front of them at a bad time. Now here you'll see one of their players goes down, and thankfully because they have the trap to go cover them, they're able to go and revive him right there. But sometimes you'll see when people go down in this room, the strategy falls apart. Multiple people surviving in this room requires coordination and everybody moving as one. If you fail to move as one and somebody goes down and suddenly that coordination breaks down, usually the game will break down too. And you have to be able to maintain this for hundreds and hundreds of waves of zombies. It's absolutely impressive. Shout out to you three for able to making it 50 plus on 5 in co-op. So the last record run we'll look at is the round 50 record run on 5 co-op set by Rekill, Sweatalot, TRYLUX, and Umesco. And I gotta say, considering that the 3-player record is 52 and these guys with 4 players made it to 50, I almost think this game is just as impressive, if not more impressive than the previous record. I mean, you got to consider coordinating the movement of 4 people in this room is insane. And you'll watch sometimes as they play, their coordination does break down. They're able to survive, get off some missed monkey bombs, some recoveries. I mean, it's tight in here, and you gotta really be in sync when you have this many people training in this room, and they're able to pull it off for 50 rounds. I gotta say, it's one of the best games of zombies I think I've ever seen. And I wanted to close out this video on this one. Like, it's not as insane as, say, making it to 229, and sure, the 3-player record is 52, but I mean, look at, so you got these 4 guys, they'll all pile in here, running through the trap, and they've got to coordinate it in such a way that all the zombies flow through at the right time, and that requires really just moving as a unit. It's so well done the way these guys are able to play here. I just can't get over it enough. Like, you basically are following the same strategy, but it's just more variables for things to go wrong when you have this many people on the map. So GG. That's gonna wrap things up for this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, maybe subscribe for more. I'm always covering zombies, so if you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you'll enjoy the next one. Next week we'll be looking at world record runs in Ascension. Before I go, I want to give a shout out to NAXIZZ and Time to Sleep for helping me out in this video. You guys were absolutely immense and taught me so much about 5. This map is a hell of a lot deeper than I realized, and I'm excited that now people are going to realize how much is actually going on behind the scenes in a world record run on 5, because when I first started making this video, I thought there wasn't going to be much to talk about, but what do you know? This map is immensely dense. You guys are awesome. Thank you for your help. If you want, you can go check out Zombicus in the description. You can learn more about things like SPH. You can also go check out in the description zombcommunity.com, which will hopefully be the new home for world record runs in the future. So keep an eye on that site if you're interested in continuing to follow the world record and high round community. That's going to wrap things up for this video. Thanks again to Frag Pro Shooter for sponsoring it. And if you'd like to support the channel, please do go check out Frag in the description. I don't cover many sponsors on my channel, but Frag was a mobile game that reached out to me. I tried it out, enjoyed it, and maybe you will as well. Check it out, and I would love it, and you would support the channel. I'm gonna go. Have a wonderful day, and bye.